This is Joseph. If you have not read Laura Mills' books, her book, Anya's Song, this is Joseph. And she recently did a book signing, and she brought Joseph with her. And is anyone surprised that she sold 20 books that day? Everybody wanted to get their picture taken with Joseph. Marketing, everybody, marketing. This is how it's done. So let me tell you what we're doing today. Today, I call it 555. And it's going to go like this. It's going to go fast. So we all have to be kind of focused. You have paper at your table. That's for you. And if anybody doesn't have paper, we'll get paper to your table. The paper is for you to take notes on. Because the purpose of this morning is for you to leave here with a takeaway. We go to a lot of meetings. We do a lot of activities. But if we don't actually take anything away with us that we're going to do, an action plan, then we're kind of spinning our wheels. We don't want anybody spinning their wheels. So I have 6 speakers today, and they're going to come up, and each one is going to give you 5 minutes of instruction, 5 minutes of their understanding of a part of writing, something to do with writing, publishing, building your brand, all of that. Then you have 5 minutes to pick their brains, to ask questions, to clarify if you didn't understand something, or if you think there's more to it and they didn't give it to you, you pull it out of them. And then the last 5 minutes, 555, the last 5 minutes, you will have to write on your paper, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do with this information? What's my next step? What am I going to put into practice? What am I going to change about my routine? What am I going to do? Who am I going to email? Who am I going to reach out to? This is your opportunity to come up with an action plan for your writing. So our first speaker, and I got to get my timer right here. Our first speaker is Jenny Margada. And that's why I have to have the timer, because Jenny can take the whole morning and fill us with wonderful things about writing.
Mike asked me to talk about branding, and I thought it was probably understood what branding was. I knew exactly what it was. I mentioned to a friend that I was going to give a speech on branding today, and she said, "What's branding?" No, it's not the hot iron with the cow. It's, So I thought, well, okay, we'll start it out with a definition. Branding is defined as creating a recognizable identity that signals to the readers what kind of experience the reader can expect. It allows the reader to say, I know this author, I enjoy their writing, and I know what I'm getting when I buy their next book. It's a combination of visual style, voice, values, and consistent messaging. That one's important, consistent messaging. So I asked myself, okay, so what do authors need to provide to achieve that branding recognition? The first one that I came up with was visual identity. Book cover styles, logos, typography, color palettes, and overall aesthetics. These elements help readers identify the publisher or author. Editorial identity, the consistency of types of stories, genres, themes, or values associated with the author. For instance, those of you who have read Marilyn King, her next book you pretty much know, it's a new story. I'm not saying it's the same story, but you know what her book is going to be. She writes historical romance. That's what she's known for. You can look at her book covers. They very, very clearly show you, pretty much you've got an idea of what the story's going to generally be about by looking at her covers. If you look at her whole Winds of Promise series, the covers are all different, but they're all the same look. They all have the same spines, they have the same kind of drawing. There's a consistency in the style of her covers. So Marilyn's pretty much got this one nailed down. In the self-publishing world, it's hard to include the publisher, but in the traditional world, it's really important. there are, they call them imprints. They're like sub-companies of the major five. There's Poison Pen Press, there's Soho Crime. They pretty much tell you what kind of books they carry, and they stick to that, their catalogs stick to that their basic identity there. Another key point is voice and tone. The writing style and personality has to carry across your books, your websites, your newsletters, your social media. It should all be consistent. There's that word again, and identifiable. You don't want, if you're writing a trilogy, you don't want somebody to pick up the third book and go, this doesn't sound anything at all like the first one. You have to maintain that style. I always tell people, in the movie industry, if Sandra Bullock is starring in a movie, you kind of know ahead of time what the flavor, what the feel of that movie is going to be. And Olive Garden. You can go to an Olive Garden in California and in Florida, and you know what you're going to get when you get there. So it's that kind of consistency. Promise and reputation. Branding acts as a promise of quality or certain reading experience. Readers return because they trust what your brand stands for. We talked a little bit about the imprints and press identity, so I'll skip over that one. The next question I ask myself is, what are the most important aspects an author should know about branding their work? Start with clarity and identity. Consistency matters more than originality. You need a defined audience. Don't try to write for everyone. It's impossible. If you try to write for everyone, it kind of ends up being nobody. So figure out your audience and tailor your books to that audience. Positioning is important, particularly in your covers. Think where if you were in Barnes & Noble, think how your book would stand in other books of the same genre. Does it match? And then there's credibility. Believe it or not, there's a real pushback to not read self-published books. So you want quality. You have to have an editor. You have to have a professional book cover. You need to format according to industry standards so that your book looks like other books. The content can be original, but you want it to look like an industry standard book. And I'm 15 seconds short.
Okay, this is your opportunity to ask questions. So you have 5 minutes now. Yeah, just reset it. Just go ahead. No, push it again.
Oh, for another 5 minutes.
That's right. Okay, so questions, yes?
How important is color in branding?
Okay, and can you repeat the question before you answer it?
Richard wants to know how important color is for branding. It's important, well, it's not really. I mean, you want it to, if you're doing dragons, you don't want them to be a color that a dragon would never appear. But I mentioned Marilyn's books. Her spines are all a different color. The fonts are the same, the covers are a little bit different, but her spines are different colors. So, but keep it within the family, I think. But you want it to pop, and you don't want something totally unrelated front and back. You want your cover to go all the way around. That answer it?
Yep.
Anybody else? Elizabeth.
How important is it to match the front cover to the back cover, like the front and the back? I handed that part over for my first book to the person that designed it. She just presented me with something that I liked it, but I don't know if it's up to standard.
Elizabeth,
I look for that.
okay, Elizabeth wants to know how important it is that the front cover and the back cover carry through. I think it's extremely important. And that's what I was getting at a little bit with Richard. You don't want something in the front and something like a hand-drawn, cartoonish look in the front and a photograph of buildings and sunset and the mountains in the back. You want it to tie in because people look, you get 10 seconds to look at the front of the cover and 20 seconds at the back. So you want that theme to carry. Remember, I kept harping consistency. So it's really important that your cover, the look of your cover carries through all the way from the front to the back. Question. Cheryl.
What do you suggest when you actually are trying to change genres? Maybe, you writing poetry the first time, the next time you're doing something historical.
The best way to do it, and the big authors have done it, they come up with different pen names. Agatha Christie will always be the queen of mystery, but she wanted to write romances, and they were rejected. Nobody wanted to read an Agatha Christie romance. So she wrote romances under Mary Westmacott. J.K. Rowling, she will always be Harry Potter. Well, she wanted to start writing adult crime books and stuff. Nobody was going to read, Harry Potter adult crime books. So she writes as Robert Galbraith. So that would be my suggestion if you're totally changing. Now, if you're just doing your memoir, that's kind of a standalone thing from you. But if you want to totally write in a different genre, my suggestion would be to write under a pen name. Anybody else?
Does it have to be like an author's name, or can it be a fiction name? Like, for example, the next book is totally different than mine, but it's going to be The Toothache Fairy. Can it be a fictional name?
Yes, but if you're just writing one book, yeah. If you plan on writing 20 children's books, you wouldn't want the whole thing to be The Toothache Fairy. So if you're going to write an entire set of books, you want a name that would speak to that. I've said before that the guy who wrote the Hardy Boys and the Nancy Drew was the same guy, but he wrote under a woman's name for Nancy Drew. So yeah, you'd want to keep it that way. Anybody else? Got 1 minute left, people.
We can use them in
Janet.
If you are trying to get academic interest in you, you do better having more different genres under one name so they can see the range. That's a different approach to branding.
It's a different approach to branding. It depends on, there again, you have to know who your target is. If you're targeting readers, you want your readers to know what to expect when they pick up the book. If you're targeting academics for whatever reason, like the schools maybe, I would still suggest that even your target, to me, and this is just me talking, this name should be associated with this genre. If you want to write a different genre, you write under a different name. If you're then like going to the schools and saying, I want all my books in the schools, you can explain to the schools who's who. And that's us.
Okay, if you could reset it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have 5 minutes at your table. This is a community. We're not isolated individuals here. On your paper, start jotting down ideas for your brand. Who's your audience? What is your color scheme, your fonts, imagine what you want your readers to associate with your brand. And talk to each other. Ask them. You've got these wonderful people at your table. Some have written for years. Ask them, what's your brand? How do you do it? And let's come up with a plan. What are we going to do this week, this month, to try to focus our brand and make it recognizable? And I love the example you gave with Olive Garden. I think the same thing with In-N-Out. You drive by and you recognize the In-N-Out sign from miles away, and you know exactly what you're going to get when you walk in the door. That's all the same. People need to feel that way about you and your writing and your brand. So 5 minutes, everybody. Okay, let's give Mary Ruth our attention, please. Give her a big hand.
Good morning, everybody. It's really my pleasure to be here today that Mike had asked me to talk about historical accuracy when you're writing your books. Well, you guys are really lucky because you have AI now, and you have a lot of different AIs, and you can check it up on the internet. When I first started out, I was freelance writing for various magazines like Highway Patrolman, Listen Magazine, Treasure Magazine, and I'd have to do a lot of research to find the historical things of that area. And then I noticed in the newspaper that Louis L'Amour was having a class on historical writing in Los Angeles, and that was in 1978. Well, I signed up for the class, and I went to LA, and before I went down to Radio Shack and bought a little portable a cassette tape recorder. And when I went in, I asked Louis if I could record the class, and he said sure. So I did the recording. It wasn't all the best because we didn't have the technology then that we do today, and it was all kind of scratchy. But the main thing that I remembered him saying is, you have to be accurate in all your historical facts. If not, some historian will come along and they'll correct you. So with that in mind, I started writing my Tishomingo book. And that is the story of the Chickasaw Indians during the turn of the last century. And so I really researched a lot. When I finished my manuscript, I sent it back to the Chickasaw Nation for review, and with the cultural department. And of course they read it, and they said everything was great. And then the governor of the Chickasaw Nation endorsed the book, which is a great bonus. But where was I going with that? Oh, and that's the reason that it happens to be in the Smithsonian gift shop for the Native American Indians. It's at Crazy Horse, their museum, and it's sold throughout all the casinos for the Chickasaw Nation in Oklahoma. And it's due to the historical aspect of it. Well, an Oklahoma historian wrote a huge article in the Oklahoma newspaper out of Oklahoma City. It was a big full page, and the man who wrote the article was an Oklahoma historian. He had written over 100 Oklahoma history books, and he said I should be commended for the accuracy of the historical facts. So at that time when I read it, I go, yes, Louis, that's great. So I was going through some of my things, and I found that cassette. And I decided I would try to get a hold of Louis L'Amour's estate, because he had already passed by the time I went through and was looking at that after my book was written. So I called the phone number that I found, and his wife answered. And I asked her, I said, can I take this little cassette tape and have it done on a CD to share with my writer friends? And she said yes. So she sent me a little letter saying that I had the permission to do it. And right here is the CD. And I am donating this to the Lending Library, and I'm telling everybody here, if you want to check it out and copy it on your computer or make a copy of it, you can check it out and do it. So this will be in the Lending Library.
All right.
Only one.
And yeah, return it, see.
Better.
And then I wanted to thank Janice Dougal. She isn't here, but she wrote a wonderful review of my Willa Flowers gift book, which is a Native American book on beading. And that was in the Inkslinger for this month. I don't know how many of you read the Inkslinger, but I love the review. So I decided I would do something special today. And I brought Willa Flowers Gifts books, and I'm going to give everyone here one if they would like to have it. And they can come up, and I will sign it for them and give them one of my books.
That's good. I know, right?
So I'm going to be passing the books around. During this 5 minutes, if you have questions, please ask Mary questions. Pick her brain. She has lots to share. She's been doing this and writing these Tisha Mingle books for a long time. She's just finished her 3rd book in the series. So please
And no
pick her
more
brain.
books. No more books. I'm going to do no more books. I'm going to do short little articles because I have one that it will be coming out in the Wordsmiths next month for Father's Day.
You keep this. You're going to answer questions.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Any questions, please? You guys went shy on this?
Okay, Rusty.
When you were on your book tour,
Yes.
that you
Thank
specifically
you.
went to the state Indian tribal areas and the cities that would support it.
Yes.
Was that a complete write-off for you? Did you need it? Or was it just part of your?
It was just part of my marketing because when I was writing the Tisha Mingle book, I made sure that I had my main character going to various towns. And so that when I wanted to go and have a book signing, the first thing I would do is I made up a flyer, and then I would leave the date and the place blank so I could fill it in later. And then I would call the Chamber of Commerce of that town and say, I'm doing a book tour and your town is mentioned in the book and I'd like to do a book signing. Can you tell me the hot spot in town, the best coffee shop? Where does everybody hang out? And so then I'd find that out. Then I would call the owner of the coffee shop and I would tell them that I would be in their town and I have a flyer that we could fill in, they could put on their window. And then I would call the feature editor of the newspaper, which most newspapers aren't there now. This was just a way of marketing at the time. And they would end up doing a feature article. So it was a win-win situation. The coffee shops, they sold coffee, people came in, bought the book, and I went to 18 different towns. Well, that was really instrumental in the,
We need some more books.
are they out?
We've run out of books.
I'm sorry, find out how many more I need and then I'll bring them next month.
Okay.
There's one more.
Yeah, I forgot where it was. Oh, for the Oklahoma historian, he had gotten a copy of the book, and then that generated the article, and then the article in the Oklahoma newspaper generated a letter from the Smithsonian and me getting the book in there. So one thing just compounds on another. So once you get going, it just happens. Yes.
While researching, what was something that was surprising about the history that you came across?
Not a whole lot. See, I was born and raised in the Chickasaw Nation. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and I knew a lot of people from the various tribes because we would always go to the powwow in Anadarko every year, and it's a large community, but then it's not because everybody's related to everybody either by blood or by marriage. And one of the things that I really wasn't sure of when I was writing was that I had a little puppy dog and it got rabies. And my grandmother told me, he said, now did it bite you? And I don't know, and this and that. Because I was going to have to get the shots in the stomach. And I said, no. And she said, well, if you did, you don't have to worry about it. Because I know an old woman over at Fillmore, and she's got a Madstone. And she went on to tell me this whole history of the Madstone. It came from the stomach of a white deer, and it was porous, and you had to put it in mare's milk, and it would absorb the mare's milk. Then you put it on the wound, and it would suck out all the poison. And then you put it back in the mare's milk, and the mare's milk would turn green. I mean, this whole long story. So I wanted to write that in my book and have my character get bit by a rattlesnake, because you could do the same thing with that. So I checked with the cultural department because I thought maybe she was just telling me that so I wouldn't be afraid, and she just made it up. And so I checked with the cultural department, and they said, oh no, that is Chickasaw. So that's another way of finding out. If you're writing about a certain area, call the county museum. Ask them, are these facts right about your county, your town?
I don't dare shut it down.
Okay. Sorry about that. Overtime.
If you're writing a story, and some of it is not facts, but if someone tell you this about the story, can they,
That's very nice.
they sue you or anything?
No, you just write it as fiction. Just make it up. Oh,
Okay.
she wanted me to say something in Chickasaw. And I said, all this is BS that I've been telling you.
Okay, folks, you now have 5 minutes again to integrate and come up with your action plan. Think about your writing, think about the research that you need to do. I'm reminded of Byron and his book and how much research he had to put into writing his book. Talk with the people at your table, find out from them what secrets they have, how they do their research. And if you have a moment, look through the book that you just got. And those who did not get a book, if you will give me your names, we'll make sure that you get one. Our next presenter is our own Richard Spencer, a man who has no bounds. If you need something done, you always ask Richard Spencer. That's my slogan for life. He's going to share with us about a project that I hope many of you will want to participate in. So your 5 minutes has started.
Okay, what I'm going to talk about is Kickstarter. Let me see your hands if you know what Kickstarter is. Okay, that's about half the room. Kickstarter is a crowdfunding platform. It's a place where you can go and have your readers fund your project for you. Essentially what you do is you create a campaign on the Kickstarter website. Now, a campaign would be like a web page. It's where you tell your story. It's where you tell people what the book is about. You also set a funding goal. How much money do you want to earn from this campaign? And then you actually create the campaign itself. And you do that on the website. And it's a fairly simple process. It's very straightforward. They have all the tools on the website. You have to create the graphics. You would have to create the video if you use one. But all of that is available. All of the tools are already built into that website. And once you set your goal, then you create the tiers, the rewards that you're going to offer to the readers. It can be an ebook, it can be just a paperback, it can be a standard hardback, it can be a special edition. And the nice thing about the Kickstarter community, it is very, very different from Amazon. The Amazon reader always wants something for free. Not so on Kickstarter. It is very common for you to be able to ask for $10 for an ebook, $25 for just a paperback, $55 for a hardback, $85 to $100 for a special edition. So the people that spend their time on Kickstarter looking for projects to back, it's just a different audience. And they don't have a problem spending more than you would get for the same product on Amazon. I've only got 5 minutes, so I can't give you all of the details. But essentially the way it works is you go live with your campaign. People come in, they view your page, and they say, oh, hey, this is kind of neat. I think I want one of these. And they will pledge whatever price you have set for whatever reward they want. And then more people do it. And eventually you'll get enough pledges to where you've reached your goal. Once you reach your goal, then that campaign is going to fund. You set a specific length of time, usually about a month. And then at the end of that month, the campaign ends. If you have exceeded your goal, then it funds. In about 2 weeks, Kickstarter will throw all of that money at you. They take out 5%. That's what Kickstarter makes. You pay nothing up front. There is absolutely no investment of anything but your time to create this campaign. Once it funds, then you're responsible to fulfill all of the promises that you made during your campaign. And another thing that you do is you create a community. Every time you create another campaign, if you've got 6 books, you can do 6 campaigns. And these same people come back time after time after time and pledge money to your next campaign. It's a great way for an author to get exposure, and it's a great way to make money. We're going to form a group within the club, and it's going to be people that are interested in actually having their own campaign on Kickstarter. I made it. Any questions? I can read it.
Okay, 5 minutes for questions.
Questions?
Do you have a website, or you just put in Kickstarter?
I can't hear you.
Do you have a website, or do you just put in?
No,
Kickstarter?
you do everything on the Kickstarter website. You create a page on their website. And
I think her question is, do you have the address of the website?
Yes.
Is it just www.kickstarter.com?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You talked about you end up building a community. For getting started when you're at the beginning, if you don't have that community, you do not have a proper audience, how do you either notify people that it exists if you don't have people to notify? How could you advertise it? Or how can you build the community to do a Kickstarter?
Well, if you already have a following, you simply tell them, hey, I'm doing a Kickstarter campaign. And give them the link to your page on Kickstarter and ask them to go take a look. If you don't have a following, then you're like me. I did a Kickstarter campaign back in November. I set a funding goal of $350. I was just testing the waters. I just wanted to put my toe in the water and see how it really worked. I had virtually no following, so I didn't go into it with anybody that was going to help me out a whole lot. I wound up making $526. Of that, I had to ship 7 paperback books that I already had. So I shipped 7 paperback books. The electronic copies, the e-books, those I just put on BookFunnel. It took me 5 minutes to put all of the e-books on it. I wound up making out of that $524, 365 of it was profit. So it's incredibly easy to do, even if you don't have a following. You may not make quite as much. The following helps, but it's still worth it to give it a shot, even if you do not have a current huge email list.
And you've answered the follow-up question, which would be, what kind of financial income could you expect as a first-timer?
Yeah.
I made $525. I'd lurk on Kickstarter from time to time, and I found a guy that was pretty much in the same boat I'm in. And he made $12,000.
Wow.
But he offered things I didn't. The key to success in Kickstarter is offering something that's unique to Kickstarter, like a special edition or a tricked out hardcover. Does that help?
Yes.
Oh, so is this, do they publish? Is this a publishing thing? And
Oh, no. This is just it's crowdfunding.
but you still publish on the Amazon.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
This doesn't interfere with anything else that you might be doing.
Okay.
This is in addition to.
All right.
Anybody else?
That was part of my question, but my second question was when you said after you receive the funds and you have to fulfill your promises of that campaign, what does that mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, you offered rewards. You offered an ebook for $10.
Oh, okay.
You offered a
The
paperback
product.
for $25. If 10 people pledged money for the paperback, then you have to ship them,
okay.
and they pay the shipping. And Kickstarter does all of the hard stuff, all the financial stuff. So they handle sales tax, they handle everything, so you don't have to worry about sales tax or anything.
So do they give you a spreadsheet with all the people who made the donations and everything?
Oh, absolutely.
That's how you keep track of the people?
Yeah, exactly. They have tremendous analytics where you can see what's happening. And of course, during the campaign, you are in communication with your readers. You're doing updates all the time. So you're communicating with them, you're building a relationship with them, they comment back, and I'm done.
Thank you so much. You know, again, this is a new world, and we have to be looking for new ways to promote ourselves. With the Kickstarter, too, people can search for you. If they're interested in people that are trying to get off the ground with new novels, they can do searches and they can find you and they can support you. So you may end up gathering a whole new audience that you didn't know you had.
Well, on average, 40% of the people who back your campaign are people you don't know.
Yeah.
There are lots of people that lurk on Kickstarter, and they're looking, they got money and they got time. And they go there and they look for projects to back. And it was true with my campaign. 40%, I had 24 backers. 40% of them were people that found me while surfing Kickstarter. And they saw my campaign, they said, oh, why not? And they hit the button.
Hey, Richard, you probably already know this a lot more than we do, but a lot of the major products and services that are out there in the world that probably most of us have used at one time or another actually started out under the Kickstarter program. May have not been this specific site, but in general, they started out with Kickstarters.
That's right.
Yeah.
They get supported and backed and promoted. Okay, so this 5 minutes, we're going to have to, because of time. Time is always our enemy here. We're going to fold in our snack time along with our time to talk with each other and to decide whether or not we want to do a Kickstarter campaign. The snacks are over here on the side. Please help yourself. There's coffee. And we will come back in a few minutes. Okay, our next speaker is C.J. Berry, who is coming to us from her home far away. But she has incredible things to share with us about social media. And then this is kind of a foretaste for what she's going to do in our Act 2 meeting. So, CJ, please take it away.
So often I think for building our brand, we think that that means building, like, I don't know, our platform, what it needs to look like, what all that stuff of it, you know, like, do we have Facebook? Do we have our social media? Do we have our website? But before we have all of those things, we need to have a direction. We need to have our foundation and we need to have our pillars. And so that is where we're going to start. We're going to start with our foundation, and we're going to then build our pillars. And then from there, we're going to expand out onto that into also building our ideal reader. So hopefully, our ideal audience, hopefully we have enough time tonight. So let's get into it. But I want to make sure that you guys are getting everything you need to get out of it. I wanted to share with you a quote I heard yesterday. There was a round table with a bunch of actors sitting at it, and Harrison Ford was one of them. And as he was sitting there, he said, "I am in the service occupation." And I was like, he's in the service occupation. You know, for a service occupation, we think of waiters or maybe somebody in the dress, you know, in clothing industry or something like that. But he said, "I'm in the service occupation. We sell stories, and stories are a good thing." And I just like heard that yesterday, and as I was finishing the touches on this, I was like, I need to bring that in today, because that's what building our brand is. That's what we're doing here tonight. Is we're in the service industry. We're selling stories, and our stories are a good thing, and they deserve to be sold. They deserve to be heard by other people. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to take that amazing actors tip right there, and we're going to sell our stories, and we're going to look at how to do that. So I'm going to hop over into, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go over what we did at the club meeting the other day. There we go. Our personal mission, aspiration, or purpose with heart. And it is rooted in the samurai ethics. It signifies a deep, intrinsic drive to align passions and skills with a long-term goal that creates positive social change. It combines the heart with the direction it points. And you may think, what does this have to do with my writing? What does my heart have to do with my writing? I write humor, right? I write comedy. Or for me, I write things from the heart, right? So it seems that makes sense. But what if I write horror? Does that combine heart with the direction it's pointing? And that's what we're going to see. That yes, it does. Because we're looking at this from the human perspective, because that's what we're writing. I learned this perspective from the Unconditional Leadership course I took with Heather Ishamara. And so we're going to take your piece of paper now, and in the center of it, you're going to draw a rectangle. And this rectangle we're going to visualize is a trunk. And in that trunk, we're going to put in there all the different roles we take. We're going to visualize them, whether it's mom, whether it's dad, whether it's a businesswoman or businessman, what you do for your professional job outside of writing, the image the world tells us we have to look like, or maybe the beauty we have to carry. All of these things, they pile up in our trunk, right? And if we think of this as like the dress-up trunk that we had as a little kid with the little plastic clunky shoes in it, and we're going to take every bit of that out. And we're going to see ourselves as we truly are, with none of these roles, just an empty trunk. And in that empty trunk is just our soul. That's all we're going to see. We're not a writer at this point. We're not a publicist, which we have to be as writers. We're none of those. We are just our soul. And then we're going to take this and we're going to say, this right here that we're looking at, what we have left, what you see when you see your soul, that's your true work. That's the direction you want to go. And remember, this is us building our brand. This is our Kokorowski, our true work in building our brand and in everything we do in life. And we're going to take, and when we see this, maybe that word that shines out for you is love. Maybe your true work in everything you do is love. Maybe it's power. Maybe it's desire. Maybe it's to inspire. Maybe it's to enlighten. Or just to be, or to adore. Mine is the adoration of life. Truly, when this came to me, when I went through this and I realized that my true work was the adoration of life, I realized that this was all aspects of life. This is not just the beauty in the garden when the flower is blooming. This is also the dirt and the mulch and the rotten flower pot when I've overwatered it and haven't drilled the holes out in the bottom and it smells. And I need to dig my hands in and I need to do some hard work to clean it out. And that needs to reflect in my writing as well. Because adoring every single process, the mistakes, the good things, the bad things, all of it, right? That's what I reflect out when my reflection is the adoration of life. It's not all sunshines and rainbows. It's not all beauty and flowers, right? That is my Kokorowski, is the adoration of all of life. Because my life hasn't been beautiful. But if I can learn to adore it and shine that out, maybe I can help other people learn to adore it as well. Right? So here we have a red bike. I want to share with you the red bike concept. The red bike concept is that in life, I might want a red Ferrari. For me, it would be more of a pickup truck, right? An old 50s Dodge pickup truck. And I really want that because it's going to get me around. I'm going to have fun doing it, right? But instead, maybe I end up getting a red bike. And if I can really truly align with the adoration of life, I can realize that, well, maybe I also wanted to get more in touch with nature. And that actually getting the red bike might meet two of my goals. Maybe I also wanted to save some money, and so getting the red bike for now meets three of my goals, and I can put some money aside for something else. So sometimes in life, the adoration of life is realizing that our red bike, which is metaphor for things that don't seem to add up how we think they should add up, right, are maybe what we truly need. It doesn't mean we need to let go of our goals. Doesn't mean that someday I won't get my old pickup truck that I would love to have someday. But maybe for now, the red bike is going to meet a goal. And if I say bitter about my red bike and not having my pickup truck, I'm going to miss the additional opportunities that I'm getting. So to me, that's what the adoration of life is. It's seeing life for all that it's worth. And sharing that in my writing. So I want you to turn your papers vertically now. And as you look at your triangle, I want you to visualize that it is a mirror. Right? And that mirror is now a reflection. It's your true work that you've seen in that trunk reflecting out from you. We are able to see ourselves from our true work. We're able to reflect that into our writing and into building our brand. Drawing in what is meant for us and our lives. And we're going to share that out. Okay? Building your brand begins with you. See your true work clearly and let it shine. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay, if you have a question, you're going to come sit in the chair up here and face CJ and ask her, and she will answer it for everybody. So if you have a question, stand up, come up to the chair here, and address her face to face. Any questions? Oh, come on up, Paul. Come have a seat.
Hey, how are you? Hi, Paul.
I'm wondering what's the next step? How do you engage physically in your from here?
From here, the next step is going to build pillars that support your true work. And I'm going to go into that at the Act 2. I'm going to go into building the pillars that are going to support your true work. So the first step that we're learning tonight is to build our true work, to find that, because we only have 5 minutes. So the second step is going to be build our pillars, and come to the Act 2 and we're going to go into that.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. It was nice to meet you.
Okay, if you have a question, come on up and ask, please. Okay, let me just say something on this topic. It's so fascinating that CJ brought this up, because just a few minutes ago, I was talking to Patty and telling her my story as a writer, and how at first when I started writing, I was kind of copying other people's writings and had not found my own center, my own, what was in my box. And it took some time. I explained to Patty, it took probably, for me, because I'm slow, it took me like 30 years to finally say, hey, wait, I'm this. And then start writing out of who I was. So you guys are getting a shortcut. This is great. If you can do what CJ's talking about, it will change everything you do. It's the core of your branding, is knowing that you're writing about you. It's all about you. It's all about what you value. It's all about what you're about. It's all about what's important to you. That's what you're writing about. And that should color everything you do. Okay.
Everything. So for me, it is going with my adoration of life. So in all things that I do, when I write, I say, does this reflect, as in my mirror, does this reflect the adoration of life? When I write, when I post on my social media, when I'm doing my cover of my book, whatever I am doing, according to my brand, I say, does this reflect my adoration of life? And if it doesn't, then I know I'm not reflecting to build my brand, because my brand is based on my true work, is my adoration of life. And so that's the core of what you want to get to. Once you get to your true work, that is when you're going to be able to start building your brand and building it out from there. Because we can do this with all genres. It does not matter our genre. We can say, I want to adore life, and I'm going to do it through science fiction. I'm going to do an adoration of life. I'm going to do it through horror. I'm going to do an adoration of life through horror, because whatever our true work is, we want to wrap that up in and reflect our soul in our work. That's how we're going to connect with other souls and bring them in.
Absolutely. And if you've ever seen CJ's posts, her Facebook posts, she's nature's goddess, and she lives with wonder at the beauty of creation around her. Okay, I am going to bring up our next speaker. First, before I do, everybody give CJ a big hand. Thank you, CJ. Yeah. Oh, do that. On the paper you have in front of you, write down May 25th, 6 o'clock, Act 2 meeting, because you want to get the rest of this.
I saw 26 on the PowerPoint. Is it Tuesday, the 26th?
It's Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, the 26th.
Is it the 26th? Okay, I'm sorry, I said 25th. 26th at 6 o'clock, Tuesday night. It's the fourth, always the fourth Tuesday. And now, we have the most amazing person coming up to share with us. I have had the joy of getting to know Elizabeth Aguilar. She is a dynamo. She is a force to be reckoned with. And anything she puts her mind to, she not only does it, but she does it so well and so beautifully. She has an eye for beauty. And I just want to welcome her to the stage. So if you please will join me in giving her a round of applause. Come on up, Elizabeth. Elizabeth runs our Hispanic Heritage Celebration every year. And she is the chairman or the chairperson of the Hispanic subgroup, which we started a group that writes in Spanish and English, and she's just amazing. So here you go.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here today. My presentation is to kind of give you an outline of what I've learned as a fairly new writer on book signings. I'm also an event planner, so I always try to make it colorful, fun, interesting. I just had my first book presentation and signing on March 31st. It was very symbolic to have it in the month of March, being that it's Women's Month, the whole month, like their celebration, just celebrating us. So I had it at the next chapter. It was on March 31st. You never forget the first people that are there with you at the beginning of any journey. And this is somewhat of what my table looked like. I took pictures with the people that attended, and I also sent them thank you cards for coming to my book signing. And with that thank you card, I also sent them a copy of the picture that we took together. It did take me a little while to get around to that, but I finally got it in the mail and out. So I had everybody just fill out their own, address their own envelopes, so that way I could send it to them. And I had copies of my books for sale there. I did a signing. I didn't anticipate the marketing aspect of the book presentation. Even the owner of the next chapter suggested that we push it out a little more. But like I said, it was very symbolic for me to have it in March. I didn't publish it or advertise it as much as I should have, but it was my first presentation, and I was happy with what I received. I had a lot of love and support. It's a beautiful bookstore if you haven't been to it, and I'm scheduling more events as I go along. I want to stay regional now for the time being. I'm scheduling something with Barnes & Noble soon, and I'm also scheduling something with the local libraries and other bookstores in the area. For me, like I said, color is really important. Purple is one of my favorite colors. So that way when the book cover was designed, it's a hue of the purple family. The back is lavender. And it's not a very big book, so I really enjoy and appreciate the work that the designer did on the book cover. Other things that I would like to tell you about the book signing is to have plenty of copies ready, have your Zelle QR code ready. That's a new way, a new form of payment. Have change if people are, we're not ready for business if we don't have change ready for someone that's going to pay in a larger bill. And I have a sample of the thank you card there that I sent to the people that came to my first presentation. This is a copy of the flyer that I posted on social media with the cover of the book. So that's basically where I stand with my book signing presentation.
Okay, any questions?
Anybody have any questions, comments, recommendations? Hi, Michelle.
Yes, so my question is, how did you choose the location to have your book signing? Did you approach them? Did they approach you? Was there a fee involved? I know you mentioned Barnes & Nobles, also in the future. So how do you do that?
So for the next chapter, I was introduced to Sylvia Crabtree, who's the owner, and I approached her about wanting to have a signing at her book. So most of the time, we have to do the legwork and find the venues that are willing to have an event, because it does cost the venue time. For example, for my book presentation, they had to open after hours because it was from 5 to 7. So whether she was there, it was actually her daughter standing in for her that day. But if it was another business, another bookstore, if the owner can't be there, then they have to pay for someone to let you in the door and have you have your event to host you. So yeah, I approached Sylvia about having my first event. For Barnes & Noble, I'm going through some edits, and we email them so they could create their own ISBN number, their own ISBN number. Once you're in their system, then they will consider you to do a book signing at Barnes & Noble.
Great. Just the next chapter, where is that?
That's on the corner of Apple, actually, it's on the corner of Navajo and Bear Valley Road, right next to Stater Brothers. Yeah. It's a cute little, very cozy bookstore. They have a lot of events there. And the owner's a retired teacher.
It's 21580 Bear Valley Road.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes?
I noticed a lot of book signings run about 2 hours. Is that typical?
Yeah, that is. For me, it was plenty of time. I did a presentation. I had, amongst my guests, we chose, some of the guests that came to my book presentation had read the book already, so we chose a favorite story that I read to the guests that were present. Yeah. Oh, and one more thing that I wanted to emphasize. For book presentations, we have to make it fun. I also brought refreshments. There was coffee, there was tea. I set up a little table with pastries, and similar to what we have here at our meetings. It's an invitation. It's at a bookstore. It could have been in my living room. Make it hospitable. So I did provide some refreshments for my guests that night. Any other questions? Hi, yes. Hi.
About how many books should you have available? And
Um,
what do you do when you run out?
So for that book signing, I had ordered maybe about 25. You could pre-order them, but that's another thing that we have to consider is when they're author copies and we're only on Amazon, the turnaround time is we have to give ourselves ample time to order them and get them back in time. Yeah.
So what happens when you run out? What do you do when you tell the patrons?
Oh, I would probably have them just give me their email and their contact information. And then, as a courtesy, I would probably, knowing how I run things, just for the inconvenience of not having it there, I would ask for a prepayment and throw in a little extra something for the inconvenience of having to wait for the product. You're welcome. Any more questions? Suggestions?
Okay.
Keep doing it.
Let's give her a big hand.
It's just so thrilling when you write a book and people come back to you and say, "Oh, I loved your book. I absolutely loved what you had to write." I had a weird experience this week. I went to a retirement meeting and this lady walked up to me and I didn't know her. She walked up and she said, "Mike." I said, "Okay, I don't know your name." But she said, "I just want you to know I ordered 3 of your books this week to give to my friends." And it blew me away. But she said, "Oh, yeah, I love your book." It's the children's book that I wrote. "I love your book and I think it has a great message and I wanted my friends to have it." That made my day. And I know for any of you, if you've ever done a book signing, it is a wonderful experience to get to know the people who are interested in you and interested in your writing and who really want to support you and support your brand. Our last speaker of the day, I told him this morning, I saved the best for last. If you will please put your hands together for my dear friend, John Garner. Are you going to do it from there?
I have the same problem I had Wednesday. I can't stand for long periods.
Okay, do you want to do it from there? I'll just bring the mic.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't mind.
Okay, all right. Mike has assigned me the task of explaining to you all the different places I go to write. And I don't think it's extraordinary because there are places you can go to as well. They're available to you. The only thing I do that might be different that allows me to go to these different places is I genre jump in the sense that I might be in romance one time, or I might be writing about a sports event, or doing an op-ed or something. I'm always doing different things, so it allows me to go to different places. But the most basic place I go to, where I get a lot of views, is Facebook, which surprised me. I had my own personal page. I started posting excerpts of my books and my stories and articles that I wrote for the paper. And slowly but surely, I started developing, well, I hate to say a following, you know, but it was like that because I kept seeing the same people coming back. And eventually I got up to the point where I was averaging about, especially when I published a thing called A Slice of Life. And that is a little piece I wrote about everyday people doing everyday things and making your day better, acts of kindness and whatnot. And where like maybe a feature article might get 30 to 40,000 views, Slices of Life was getting 60,000, and which stunned me because Barstow's only got 25,000 people, so I didn't know where all these other people were coming from. And I'm sorry again. Anyway, but I do Wordsmith. I have a personal page. I do Inkslinger. I do Context. I do Pulse newspaper. Well, Amazon we all do because we're self-publishing. And I do one other thing that I absolutely love doing. It's a joy to me. Letters. I don't know how many of you write letters to the people you love. Good for you. Good for you. When my granddaughter moved back to her mother, I started writing her every other week. And because I was really worried about what her mother, you know, I was hoping she wouldn't look at it. But anyway, 3 years ago, my daughter and I reconciled. I've been writing to my granddaughter ever since years ago. And then I had a great-grandson about a year ago, and I write to him. Even though he can't read, I figure when I pass on, he'll be able to read about me. And I do it every other week. And I tell you, there's nothing more joyful than having the people you love, when you're talking to them on the phone, say thank you for the letter. And what they tell you that makes you really feel good is they reread them. You know, they don't reread a text, and they don't reread an email, but they like the feel of paper, and they like the feel of taking it out of an envelope. So consider that, the people you love, how you, what they'll feel like when they go to the mailbox and extract an envelope. And what I do is I put them in those little 99-cent gift cards from Walmart. You know, it says something like thinking of you and so on and so forth. And it's just a cute little way of, you know, and it's only one page, maybe 5-6 paragraphs. It's quick and it's brief and sweet. But I think the most important thing is, for me anyway, I wanted desperately to become a better writer. So I felt like if I could do writing in other areas, other genres, like for example, journalism, you know, you have to do a top-down concept where, you know, they could, you know, you build everything, you front-load your story, and you chop it off. But I liked writing feature articles, which Paul, what the hell's your last name? Sebastian, yeah. Paul Sebastian, I'm so sorry. This guy can write expository stories. I am not kidding you, but he writes for the Pulse. They are kick-ass. And speaking of which, I want to compliment Lorelei. I had the privilege of editing her book when I was part of the Wordsmiths, and Mormon to Mermaid is an absolute joy to read. This lady can write, and you'd be doing yourself a favor to read it. But anyway, that's about it, because it's all you got to do is have the gumption to start on Facebook and write something they want to read. And what I found out, and this is going to be my next project. I just finished my football book about Barstow winning the state championship last year. Now I'm starting a book. My friend said you ought to do a book about your slices of life, because I got about 200 of them. I didn't realize I had so many. And the only thing I got to do now is figure out how to frame the story. But Richard, you and I are both alike. I ran out of time. Okay, I'll take any questions you might have if you would. Oh, I got to turn it off. Sorry, I didn't know that. Yes, young blood.
So when you're submitting to, let's say, the Pulse or a magazine or newspaper, how exactly do you approach?
Well, you know what it was? Mike Apodaca introduced me to Jim Conkle, the publisher of the Pulse. And so we interviewed, and he started accepting my material, and I've been writing now for him for 2 years. I have never submitted to a well, that's not true. I did submit to one, and I never heard back from him, so I figured I don't know, it never interested me to submit to a magazine. But contest, there's all kinds of contests. The Writers Club in California, they have flash fiction, I just entered one about a month ago, where they want, if I remember correctly, the first 300 words of your story. Because they want to see if you can pull the reader into the story. They want to see how well you hook them and pull them in. And I thought that was an interesting competition, because it's very specific, it's very brief, and it's not the whole book type thing or the whole story type of thing. But yeah, contests are great, but I don't know if I answered your question, but I don't mess with magazines. I'm sorry. So.
Except the wordsmith.
Oh yeah, the wordsmith, but Jenny always tells me, I can't do that. You can't put a picture in there. Wow, no questions? My God, what? Thank you.
John, a comment though, no question, but a comment.
Yes, sir.
I love what you said about writing, physically handwriting a letter to someone, loved one, whomever. I had a dear friend pass on now due to cancer, but she really emphasized, Ray, would you please write me a handwritten letter? And I was caught in life at the time, so I didn't do that. But in hindsight, I think I regret that.
Well, when I started writing to my granddaughter, man, it broke my heart when she left. And so I'm surprised she was able to read what I wrote her initially. It's probably, I miss you. And, but anyway, I would handwrite it. But now my handwriting, I'm really, it's kind of suspect. I'm not sure what word I'm coming up with. And so I type it now, and plus it's easier for them to read. So, but I understand what you're saying, yeah. Yes, sir.
So another note that you brought up was going into contests. We receive emails about the contest from this chapter. Do you go outside and look for these contests?
No, I wait for them to come to me. Well, that's not true. Well, actually, no, that sounded kind of arrogant. I'm sorry. No, that's not true. No, what I mean is CWC, I guess I'm on their mailing list because I get notices from all these contests within the club. But there's places I go to in the real world where there are contests as well. And I think that's because I belong to Query Tracker, which is where you go to pitch an agent, that you locate an agent to pitch about your product. And I think it's because I registered with them that I'm getting notices from other contests. So, but it's good because sometimes it's time sensitive. You got a deadline to meet, and so I just entered one from their anthology. Napa Valley had one, and they're putting together an anthology, and you can only, if I remember correctly, 1,200 words. And you'd be surprised how much fun it is trying to make a good story in 1,200 words, like flash fiction. It's a real challenge, and it'll test you, but it's worth trying, I promise you. So, yeah.
Just as a comment, there is a new trend about writing letters, for sure.
Okay.
Because the personal aspect is coming back around again, where often a lot of people don't like to only see emails. They don't like Facebook because it's falling off the page as soon as someone else comments, and you never know where it is after you're there. And that the personal connection has come around again just because of handwriting.
Yes.
So. that's a good point, and I just wanted to put it out there, because I used to make cards and stationery, and I think that's what I'm gonna do in my retirement.
There you
So
go.
look for my cards.
Elizabeth, you got a question? Thank you, sweetheart. Yes,
I
please.
agree, just to piggyback off of
Rusty.
Rusty's comment, it's so
Thank you.
therapeutic to handwrite.
Excuse me?
It's
Excuse
so
me?
therapeutic to handwrite.
Yeah.
Like the story just doesn't come out the same, you know? Like when you handwrite versus writing on a laptop, you know, and you're like backspacing so much, you know, when you write, you just scratch it off and keep going, you know, and it's just.
The thing I noticed about letter writing, Elizabeth, is it's therapeutic too. You know, if you have a bad week,